All right. So how does Kaylee, a child, go missing for 31 days without us getting the police involved?
That's just great. Like,
I mean, it's just hard to imagine how. I mean, you think someone's missing for one day. A normal mother would be frantic about that. 31 days.
yeah, just
That's and
the
for her to be acting how she acted is just kind of crazy.
it's either she's that insane that she believes the stuff that she's telling the police and everybody else that happened, or she's that good of a liar.
Mm.
Like when the grandmother first called the police 31 days later, she just she told them, "Oh, I gave her to the babysitter." And they
She had a name for the babysitter and
yeah,
everything.
she
It was
took her
Zenaida Gonzalez.
yeah, she took her three different houses, all of which babysitter wasn't there, wasn't to be seen. And she knew these addresses by heart. She just said, "Oh, go here. She might be here." And nobody was there. She's coming up with this on the spot.
Okay,
So
but let's go back to the start. Right?
Yeah.
June 16th, 2008. Casey drives off with Kaylee, right? Mm.
Yeah. Yep.
So after an alleged family argument on Father's Day, June 15th, Casey leaves, right?
And this is a fact. This
Yes,
happened.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yes.
right? Boom. July 15th, Cindy, the grandmother of Kaylee, reports that Kaylee is missing. Mhm.
Yeah.
mhm.
July 16th, Casey is arrested.
And that 48 hours is important because
Yes,
a lot of stuff happened there. Just
extremely important.
the
She was
thing,
she was so she was arrested for it.
Hmm.
Okay. Off the bat.
Cindy was frantic. She called the police. The police call is just,
This
I don't
is
know.
when
Yeah.
she was charged with child neglect.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. And the thing is, she didn't get the charges bumped up until they found the body.
Hmm.
How many months later was that? 6 months later?
They found the
Well, they
body
found it in
after she was
December.
charged.
Yeah, December 11th. They identified it December 20th.
Hmm.
So that's a
Yeah.
long
And
amount of
then
time.
it was upgraded to was it first degree murder?
Well, it was already first degree murder.
No,
It
no, no.
wasn't. It
She
wasn't until they
was
found the.
October 14th,
Oh, it
Casey is
was.
charged with first
Yeah.
degree murder.
okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
And then they found the
So I
remains.
guess that's after they assumed that Kaylee was dead.
Yeah, because she was gone
And
forever.
then,
Oh, was that after the car evidence?
well,
Um.
The,
it isn't until April 13th
yeah.
that prosecutors announced their intention to pursue the
Okay.
death
Look,
penalty.
the thing in this case, there's so many smoking guns
Hmm.
that just it really blows my mind how the decision was affected because first of all, first thing noticed, okay, she's a liar. We already know that.
I
That's
mean,
not hard evidence, but she's a
from the
liar
first day,
from the
she
first day.
told two
Another
really big
another
lies,
thing
and they were
is,
really easily
yeah,
disproven.
yeah,
And that just tipped them off. I think she got charged with lying to the
Hmm.
police
yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly. Like, and even though this isn't hard evidence again, the 31 days that she was missing, she was going out, she was partying with her friends, she got a tattoo on her
Yeah,
back.
and
That's not,
with her
that's,
boyfriend
yeah,
too.
that's not something a nervous mother would be like afraid about.
I mean,
And
like I think the boyfriend is really
the
important
boyfriend
here.
is an interesting aspect.
Um, because didn't he say that he wouldn't marry a girl with a daughter?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
that
He said that.
that is
Yes.
that's scary because like when did it was this happen? Like in the time before um Kaylee went missing,
And then
something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that was before Kaylee went missing.
all
Yeah,
she did was hang out with him in those 31 days,
Mm.
yeah,
seeming to
Pretty much.
enjoy life, and he even recalls her
yeah.
in a joyous mood during that time period.
But the thing is, none of this is technically hard evidence. But what I
We don't even
consider,
know if any of it's true.
yeah, like
I mean,
We only know it's
we,
true because of like surveillance film. That is why that is the only like concrete evidence
yeah,
that we
well,
have.
that's true.
Like
It's
we were
the thing is,
actually
it's
like
not
shown
concrete.
pictures and videos of her out partying
Look,
with her boyfriend.
that's where like the CSI effect and everything comes in because
Mm.
people really believe, oh, we can't rely on that, but like you got to put it into play at some point. Like And then there is evidence that I believe to be hard evidence is the trunk in the car.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
those dogs are trained for that. They're seen to be, in many other cases, seen to be accurate,
Yeah.
able to be relied on. Like, so why would, if a car signals, or if a dog signals to the car, to the trunk, taps on it, says, there's a dead body in here, everybody around there says it smells like decomposition, so does the dog.
I mean, yeah,
Why is that not enough? That's
I
my question.
I am 100% sure that there was a dead body in there. I mean,
Yeah,
these things, dogs don't lie.
like that's the thing. Like, I know it's not 100%. I know, but
But I I believe that that it did.
the
It did
whole,
smell like a dead
I
body,
guess,
and there was a
innocent
dead body in
until
there.
proven guilty, but more and more factors. And when her body was found, the tape from her house, the bag that her body was in from her house,
But
everything was in her household. So obviously she died at the hands of someone who had access to all those things.
yeah, it also could have been someone else driving Casey's car. It could have been the dad. We
It
aren't
could have been,
we can't
but how
place her
does
in the car
nobody?
on
The
those
thing is,
scenes.
the amount of evidence against Casey is, in my opinion, way more than George. Of course, I think it is possible that George could have done it, the grandfather, but
I doubt it.
I just can't see it happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not one of those cases that you just say, I think it's Casey. Let's put her behind bars. That's why this whole legal battle is so intense.
And you have to be indicted by a jury who vote unanimously
Yeah, exactly. Like,
that you are 100% guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
yeah,
Like
it's just
all unanimous. It's really hard to indict someone.
yeah, okay. So going over that, first thing that happened, grandmother calls police. Next thing, she gets arrested for child neglect after the cops take her out, look around, say, oh, she was taken by this babysitter that doesn't exist. Lying to police, arrested for child neglect.
Yeah.
Gets out, and then she goes on official trial after some more evidence resurfaced and they look for more,
A
such as
lot
the
of people
car,
testify in
a
that.
lot of people
Important people.
testifying, yep. And this trial goes on for a long time, long trial. And eventually the court comes to the decision she's not guilty, that they don't have enough. Why do they not have enough? I don't get that. They got the car, they've got they've got the items from the house. They have they have just her personality and her, I guess, her psychological actions point to this.
Well, I feel like she threw out so much like fake evidence, right?
Yeah.
So many extra details,
Yeah.
and of course there are going to be holes in any story,
Yeah.
right? In any case, there you're going to have pieces of evidence and
Yeah.
clues, but you're not going to have the entire story. You're not going to
Yeah.
know exactly what went down beat by beat, and
Mhm.
that's what they were missing with this case. And all those extra details are like just flooded in there, and you don't know what is what goes where, what happened when.
Yeah.
So it's just that much harder to piece together the
Yeah.
story.
So you mentioned the CSI effect a little while ago, and I think we should talk a little bit about that because all of this evidence, they have all of this against her, everything, and somehow she she's let go, she's let free.
Mm.
So,
Why did the jury think that?
I mean,
Why?
what is the CSI effect? Give us that.
According to Wikipedia,
Okay.
the CSI effect is defined as an effect that describes the various ways in which the exaggerated portrayal of forensic science on crime television shows, such as CSI, crime scene investigation, influences public perception.
Okay. Public perception can also mean the jury, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
they are public.
They
They are
are
the
the
public.
Yes.
yeah.
That's that's the thing that's so frustrating about this
Although when
case.
you're on a jury, you do have your phones taken.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you it's about people who are watching these
Right, but
crime shows, have an
Yeah,
you
idealized
watch
yeah,
it
vision
in
of
the
crime.
past,
yeah.
and it changes your expectations on what forensics can
Hmm.
actually do.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what it's all about.
people expect all this evidence. They need enough. They need enough to convict someone. They
But it's
need,
not that easy.
yeah, exactly. People expect, we're gonna find a footprint or something. Somebody's DNA is gonna line up.
Yeah.
That should
A
be
lot
enough.
of them,
Like,
a lot of the shows specifically kept using DNA,
yeah,
and like they always have that smoking
mhm,
gun, and that's
yeah.
not always present in real life cases.
The thing
If
is,
you're on a jury, you can't
yeah,
expect something like that to play
everything
out.
in this case was so close to a smoking gun, but nothing was perfect.
Nothing
For some
was.
reason, um, they thought that the dog could have possibly, the fact that it wasn't 100%, could have possibly miscued, or let's say the
That's
tape
not.
from the house could have possibly been George. The
Mm-hmm.
in the car could have been someone else driving the car.
That's
All
true.
of these things, there's little loopholes, little possibilities that it wasn't her, even though the vast percentage or the vast chance is that it is. So another interesting thing, the fact that more evidence coming after the case is the search history. You guys remember that?
Oh
Mm.
yes, yes,
Mm.
yes. I do remember
That is
that.
interesting because
What was it?
the investigators
Foolproof
missed it.
suffocation.
Yes, that was the key word that she searched for.
And then there was a one for chloroform, and they
Yeah,
also
yeah,
found chloroform and said that she was
Right.
incapacitated when
yeah,
she died.
yeah. They found that this search history, and they found the wrong timestamp,
Mm-hmm.
saying that, oh, George was home at this time, so he could have looked this up. But turns out they were using a wrong version of something. They just messed up the investigation, and the their expert that went through their computer was just missed it because they went on the wrong browser. So the browser that she looked up foolproof suffocation on,
Wasn't it Firefox or Internet Explorer?
No, it was Firefox.
It was
they
Firefox.
checked Internet Explorer and they didn't
They
check,
didn't check Firefox.
yeah,
Firefox. Yeah.
at the family home.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, after all this time has passed, people found out foolproof suffocation was looked up at this exact time. I believe it was 2:50
Was it 2
p.m.
Yeah.
and by that time George had already left for work.
Mm-hmm. Because he worked at
Yeah.
what, 3?
Hmm. And even though the defense had found this piece of evidence before, they had their timestamp as 1:50.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to say, "Hey, George was home. This isn't definitive evidence." But now that's at 2:50, does that mean George is gone? Is that a smoking gun? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a smoking gun? Apparently it wasn't enough to bring the case back, to call
You
it back to court.
you can't be tried for the same crime twice. Once you're let off, you're let off. They can't bring her
Double
back.
jeopardy.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's just,
So if they find something now, they still can't try her. So
yeah,
O.J. Simpson, same thing.
yeah. It's just everything in my mind is pointing to her and is
Mm-hmm.
pointing to the fact that CSI effect had on the jury.
So
I believe
how big of an impact do you think it had?
I
I don't
believe
think
it
it.
affected the whole
I
case.
don't think
Mm-hmm.
it affected it at all.
But
I mean,
look,
they can't point
how much
anything to
evidence?
her. There's
Yes,
a
I
lot,
know.
but you
It's
okay,
their
so you can say
motivation.
that someone in the family is guilty,
Yeah.
100%.
Hmm.
You can't pinpoint someone. You can't try Casey for something that George supposedly did. I think that's actually a really good defense to try to pin it
Yeah.
on him. There's nothing that I say proves her specifically guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah. The defense, I think,
Can I jump in?
yeah.
Yes.
So, what are the main things that we have to clarify real quick? The decomposition in the trunk. The
Yes.
only thing that was like a real hindrance there was that it was the fact that they couldn't confirm that the decomposition was human.
That's
That was the
true.
main
Yeah.
thing. They knew
The
it was
garbage, yeah.
decomposition, but they couldn't confirm that it was human decomposition.
Okay.
Didn't they test something
They found hair
from
in the trunk. I believe they
from the
found her
I
in the
trash.
think
trunk.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was Kaylee's.
Mhm.
So you can
And
kind of
then
tie that together.
everything
Could be
else, it
human
was
decomposition.
yeah, every other case, like
Yeah.
even at the beginning when like the whole thing started and
Yeah.
they first found Kaylee
Hmm.
supposedly drowned in the pool, there were
Yeah.
multiple people there, so you just don't know who did
Hmm.
what.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
that's the case in multiple
Yeah.
circumstances throughout this like
At
timeline.
the same time, I don't get how the defense won this case. They had, in my opinion, they had nothing.
That's true.
There's
They were
They basically
grasping at
just stalled
straws.
and stalled and stalled, pointing out the tiniest little
It
details that
was
it wasn't.
it was confusion,
Yeah,
misdirection.
they were trying to pin it on George, but
Mhm.
what did they really have? They had nothing. And when um when Casey got sent out on bail, all they jumped on the fact that George basically like ripped into her. He
Mhm.
started choking her. And he was like, where's my granddaughter?" So it's just little things like that. Even though that's not, I wouldn't call that specifically little. It's significant. You know,
Mhm.
it's it's significant to the point to say like, was this an action of someone who has like homicidal thoughts? You know, that's what the defense was getting at. But really, like, what else do they have?
I think
Casey's story just doesn't line up. Like, it's possible, but it just doesn't. I don't think it's the prime. It's like the exact thing that would have happened.
Mhm.
Like, does that make sense?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's just there's so much like pointing to Casey, and then there are people who would swear on their lives that Casey wouldn't do anything
Yeah.
remotely related to anything like in this.
Yeah. Her defense team and her
that's hard to
friends.
use in trial, though. Like,
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
exactly. Like
Yeah, but like the
similar with
her
everything.
lawyer,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
her lawyer was one of those people.
yeah. Just I don't get how you win this case. I
No,
feel
and
like people have been convicted for less. You know.
well, when you see the pictures displayed in the documentary we got to see, when the lawyer was talking about it, they showed pictures of Casey with Kaylee, and it seemed like they had a really close relationship, and it's hard to believe that a mother like that
Yeah,
who experienced those moments with their child
yeah.
would do anything like
Well,
this.
she's fake. Every emotion that we see her
Mm.
give out, we don't know what's real. Like her, I think she's just an amazing liar, which is in a way it helped her, but at the same time she was pathological about it. Like she couldn't stop herself,
Mm.
which added on to the fact like, okay, I'm gonna claim that I work here when I don't.
Yeah, she
I'm gonna
did
make
not know
up
the right time to
something.
lie. Her
I'm gonna
lying
come
was
up with three
terrible.
different stories. You know, it's just
You don't lie about that. That's so easily, like,
But
yeah,
checkable. Drive to the
yeah,
work,
yeah,
see if she works there.
but she was lying about the stuff that they didn't have any evidence on. And I think that
Yeah.
was the main thing. Like they only had certain pieces, right?
hmm
Hmm.
So any little blanks that they have, shove whatever information you can in there. And I think that was her whole strategy.
Also, the guy who found the body,
Mm.
that was like a big thing because it was 17 feet back from the road.
17 feet 4 inches. Yep.
They they said if there was something there, you would not be able to see it just even walking past. You wouldn't notice it.
Yeah.
How did this guy find it? It's just interesting.
Going into
Wasn't that
winter, the
in the
leaves
no?
coming.
Wasn't that in the that wasn't in the search party?
No, no, it was a guy who took that turn every day for work, and he saw something. So
It was a
I
guy who
I
found and
think that's
reported the
weird
body.
because
Mm.
generally that's just an odd thing to happen.
Hmm.
But you know, I get why the defense went after him, but they obviously knew that this wasn't him. They're just trying to get it off
Hmm.
Casey. You know, at the same time, I think the same thing with George. I honestly don't think that anyone on our defense team honestly believe that it was anybody but her. Because they knew her tendencies.
Hmm.
They knew her as a person. So I just I can't believe that with everything I've heard about Casey.
So, what's your opinion on the CSI effect in this? What do you think?
Well, I think it had a really big
Yeah.
role in the jury's
So me and Troy
decision.
agree.
I
Yeah,
mean, I can just see,
I'm with John.
I can just see myself on that jury saying, I can't pinpoint something, so where I can make a decision influencing someone else's life that someone is guilty beyond. That's a really big decision to make as a juror.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You need to be 100% completely sure in your mind
Yeah.
I understand that.
there's nothing
Yeah, I
that it
So,
can't
understand.
be.
do you think that forensics should have had more evidence?
There was no other evidence. I mean, they had a good amount, they collected a good amount of evidence. They sent the dogs out there.
Mm.
Yeah,
I really don't think there was a
I
lot more for them.
yeah. Well, obviously after the case, the whole Internet Explorer Firefox thing
Yeah, a
in the
lot of
circle.
that happened after the
Yeah,
decision too.
and that's from our perspectives. So I think that would definitely make people lean more to Casey than anything else because, in my opinion, that is a smoking gun. That is the biggest piece of evidence because George wasn't home. The whole defense is out the window. Why would anybody but the killer be looking that up at that specific time?
Mm.
So
But I think we're still straying away from the actual CSI effect. Do you think the forensics should have had more evidence? Because that's what the CSI effect is always
I
about.
think the specific piece of evidence is that the dog was enough because
I
first
agree
of
with
all,
that.
if um if Cindy could testify for George being like he's been at home, if she could be able to do that in at the same time if she couldn't, that's Casey's car. That's her vehicle. She was the one that drove away with it
Yeah.
and I she was still in contact with her parents, but she was the one that drove away with it and started having fun. Like you can't you can't say that that was like there's no way of the defense saying that that was George. Like
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry.
now, do you think that the jurors would have thought that the forensics should have gotten more evidence?
Yes, I believe the CSI effect made them think that. I think that there was enough there. That's my opinion. My opinion is that all these crime shows with all this like intermingled, like fantasized evidence, like all these crazy little intricacies in the case are overplayed, if that makes sense. Like the slightest possibilities need to be almost listed as impossible.
Mm. And that's why the jurors weren't sure.
Yeah, that's why I believe the CSI effect did play a role definitely in this case. I think the dog alone was a big enough piece of evidence. If there's a dead body in someone's car and you're able to forensically prove
But you
that,
don't know if there was a dead body, there was a dead something.
yeah, what else
Yeah,
would it be?
and especially with her hair being found, I think I can pretty
Yeah,
confidently say that there was a dead body, and
the
it was
defense
that
didn't say
of
that, oh, it could have
Haley's.
been like a dead dog or a dead dude. They just specifically said, oh, I don't trust the dog that sniffed it.
Mm.
That's all. That's all they had for it. They couldn't say anything else. So I believe that that was the biggest piece of evidence that people are missing out on.
Mm. It's just what you want to believe at that point,
Yeah,
and the jurors just didn't believe it.
it.
It
Yeah,
really is just like a
I
fight
get.
between lawyers, like
I get that it.
yes,
Well,
no,
because you
back
don't
and forth.
like everyone is pretty much left to draw their own conclusion on what actually happened.
Yeah.
There's so much information out there, you have to decide
Mhm.
what happened when.
Hmm.
So you're left with all these holes in the
I mean, more
story, and
importantly, you have to choose what is important to
mm,
you as a juror. You, you think. this isn't as important. The
Mhm.
dogs, oh, the other
Yeah.
lawyer said I don't trust them, so I don't really know.
And you
Yeah.
only get so much time. You're like, think about jury duty and how stressful that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're taken out of your daily life.
Hmm.
You have to go through
Mhm.
this for multiple days, especially with a case like this.
Yeah.
This would
This would
be
be a
a
while of
very
not having your
serious
life.
deal. You're dedicating your life to this
Yeah. For however long, the
foreseeable
6 weeks
future,
or
right?
yeah.
And a lot of people don't haven't like jury duty is not a normal thing that you do. It's
Hmm.
not a common occurrence.
No.
So it's not like many people are familiar with it for like what goes down when you have to be a juror. So there's a lot of pressure, and all these people have seen on juries is CSI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I feel like people feel some kind of excitement with that too. Maybe that plays a role in how they decide this case. Because if you watch shows like that and you enjoy it, I'm sure that you would enjoy trying to basically solve a case.
Mm.
Hmm.
You're using the evidence given to you to come up with a conclusion. And look, like Ben, I get why you don't think CSI played that big of a role, but at the same time, there was just there. I think there was enough.
I'm
I
just
I
like, what other reason
I'm
is
positive.
there for them to say that she's not guilty?
I'm
Like
just putting myself in their shoes, their
like
life.
I
This
get
is what
that.
they're presented, and
I get
I don't
the
know if I can, especially it has to be a unanimous decision. I don't know if I can confidently, I mean, with all this evidence, I can say that she is, to put her away, consider the death penalty,
Mm-hmm.
that she is guilty.
And okay, but think about the crime
Yeah, there's always,
and the magnitude
it's a,
of that hit on the entire community.
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. I mean, like I get what you're saying. Like if I was a juror, I would want to feel 100% positive, and I would want to
that's why these cases take so
be
long to
yeah, like
deliberate, especially.
Of course,
Like,
but you're not given that luxury.
yeah,
hmm,
yeah,
You have to work with what you're given.
yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then so maybe some people in the jury had them as guilty. They were then under a lot of pressure to make that decision unanimous
Of course,
and deliberate.
Yeah.
I
it's
just,
just it's so hard to believe.
I agree with that,
I
and I can make the statement that, in my opinion, I believe that Casey Anthony killed her daughter. It's just placing myself in their shoes. I can see how they saw what they saw and what they took from
so
that.
you don't think the CSI effect
I don't
had
think the
anything?
CSI effect played a significant role.
You think it played a role though?
I mean, it plays a role in every case. You can say that it plays a role in every single
Yeah.
case.
Well,
I think
all
it played a role, but not a significant enough role, not the role that flipped the jury and made them choose their verdict.
yeah, yeah. I think it really just comes down to the jurors chosen
Mm-hmm.
because you can't really know.
It's tough.
It is tough. And it's hard to think about these things. I mean, trying to put ourselves in the shoes of detectives,
Mm-hmm.
police, Casey, the whole family, the jury. We are sitting in a living room, what, 15 years after it happened? We can't put ourselves
Yeah.
in their shoes.
Okay. So
We can't really do that.
if we were a jury right now, we have all the evidence in front of us, including the evidence past of like the search history, the
Okay.
timestamp for that.
If
Is Casey Anthony guilty? If you're a juror right now, what do you
Yes.
think?
Yes.
yes,
I agree.
I
Yes.
believe
I
I
think
believe yes. I
yeah,
believe the jury made the wrong decision. I never said they didn't. I
yeah,
just said that I don't think a significant enough role was played in the
yes,
decision by the
yes.
CSI effect.
Do you think your decision would be changed if you didn't know about the Internet Explorer versus Firefox piece of evidence?
I don't think my mind would have been changed. No, I think I still
You
would have said that she
do
is
you think
guilty.
that the sniffing dog and the
I
materials
I
used to bury the bodies
I
enough.
believe that that is enough to prove Casey Anthony guilty.
Okay,
Um, but
I
I'm
think that
not
too.
in that courtroom.
Yeah,
I'm not with the other jurors, so
yeah.
it's hard for them to make decisions. It's very hard. It's very pressuring. Um, that's pretty much it. That's all we have.
Yeah.
Anything else to say?
The final verdict is 2-1 for the CSI effect.
Casey Anthony did it.
Casey Anthony did it.
Yeah.
We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
He did it.
He did it.